Close your eyes and listen. Not to the wind, or the distant hum of traffic, or the rhythmic tap of a keyboard. Listen to the sound of a human heart beating inside a pressurized suit. Now, imagine that sound is the only thing you have heard for the last 10 minutes. You are sitting in a cabin the size of a small SUV, suspended in a vacuum so absolute it feels heavy. Beyond the thick, reinforced glass of your window, there is no blue sky, no clouds, and no horizon. There is only a crushing, infinite blackness, punctuated by the cold, unblinking glare of stars that do not twinkle. You reach for the communication toggle on your headset. You key the mic and speak a simple sentence, a status report meant for a room of engineers 300,000 miles away. You release the button, and then the silence rushes back in. In that pause, you aren't just waiting for a reply, you are confronting the terrifying reality that you are further from the cradle of life than almost any human being in history. You are on Artemis II, and for the first time in 50 years, humanity is about to learn what it truly means to be alone. For over half a century, our relationship with space has been one of proximity. Every astronaut who has lived and worked on the International Space Station has stayed within the protective, magnetic embrace of Earth. They have looked down and seen the lights of cities, the swirl of hurricanes, and the sunrise every 90 minutes. To them, mission control in Houston wasn't a distant entity. It was a constant, real-time companion. When an ISS astronaut speaks, the ground responds instantly. The delay is measured in mere milliseconds, a flicker of light across a few hundred miles. It is a digital umbilical cord that has never been truly severed. But as the Orion spacecraft ignites its engines and pushes out of Earth's orbit, heading for the lunar distance, that cord begins to fray. It stretches and thins until the very nature of human conversation begins to break down. This mission isn't just a flight test of a new rocket. It is a psychological experiment on the limits of human isolation. To understand the weight of this loneliness, we have to look at the math of the void. We are a species that evolved for instant feedback. Our brains are hardwired for the cadence of rapid-fire social interaction. But the universe has a speed limit, a fundamental constant that no amount of engineering can bypass: the speed of light. As the Artemis II crew travels toward the moon, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen travels toward the moon, they will cross a threshold where the laws of physics begin to interfere with the human psyche. At the distance of the moon, a radio signal takes about 1.3 seconds to travel one way. It sounds like a trivial amount of time. We deal with laggy Zoom calls and slow internet every day. But in deep space, that 1.3-second delay is doubled. You ask a question. 1.3 seconds for the signal to hit Earth. Another few seconds for a human to process the information. 1.3 seconds for the answer to return. Suddenly, a simple, "How are we looking?" becomes a 10-second ordeal of waiting in the dark. This latency of the soul changes everything. In the high-pressure environment of a spacecraft, where a single malfunctioning valve or a flickering warning light can mean the difference between life and death, those seconds of silence feel like hours. For the astronauts, the realization will slowly sink in. They are no longer being flown from the ground. They are the masters of their own fate. If a crisis erupts, the experts at NASA are no longer co-pilots. They are historians, watching data that has already happened, powerless to intervene in real time. This is the autonomy of the void, a state of existence where the crew must become an island of humanity, entirely self-reliant, and emotionally locked within the confines of their four-person world. The psychological pressure of knowing that no one can save you in an instant is a weight that hasn't been felt since the days of the Apollo commanders. Think back to the summer of 1969. While Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were making history on the lunar dust, Michael Collins was orbiting above them in the command module, Columbia. For nearly an hour of every orbit, he passed behind the far side of the moon. In those moments, the bulk of the moon acted as a massive, jagged shield. He was described as the loneliest human being in existence, the only person not being watched by a television camera or heard by a radio receiver. But Collins was a product of a different era. The Artemis II crew belongs to a generation defined by connectivity. For them, the transition to the total silence of the lunar far side will be a sensory and emotional shock that no centrifuge or simulator can replicate. The cinematic scale of this isolation is hard to overstate. Imagine looking out the window as the Earth begins to shrink. Eventually, it is just a particularly bright blue star hanging in a desert of black. This is the reverse of the overview effect. Instead of feeling a sense of global connection, the astronauts will feel a sense of profound vulnerability. Every person they love, every place they've been, the very air they are meant to breathe, is contained within that tiny, fragile point of light. The interior of the Orion capsule will become their entire universe. It is a masterpiece of engineering, but it is also a claustrophobic pressure cooker. In this environment, the social dynamics between the 4 crew members become the most critical system on the ship. As they approach the moon, the visual landscape will shift from the infinite black to the haunting, monochrome desolation of the lunar surface. These are the hidden lands of the moon, a battered and scarred wasteland that has never faced the Earth. It feels like being behind the curtain of reality. You are in a place where the Earth literally does not exist in your sky. But then, the blackout ends. As Orion swings back around the lunar limb, the first crackle of a human voice from Houston will break the silence. In that moment, they will experience an Earthrise, not just as a visual spectacle, but as a homecoming of the soul. They return to us changed, no longer just pilots or scientists, but messengers from the edge of the human experience. The journey home is a violent plunge back into the embrace of gravity. Breaking through the atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, a final test of the vessel and the souls within it. But the fire of reentry is the fire of rebirth. Then, the snap of parachutes. The sudden transition from the roar of fire to the gentle whistle of the wind over the Pacific. Splashdown. The umbilical cord is reconnected. The silence is finally, truly broken. They will step out of that hatch with the dust of the stars metaphorically on their shoulders, carrying the weight of the void for all of us. Artemis II is more than a mission. It is the foundation for the next century of human exploration. It is the bridge to the first permanent lunar base. And eventually, it is the proving ground for the greatest journey of all, the 3-year voyage to Mars. If we can survive the silence of the moon for 10 days, we can begin to prepare for the years of silence that await us on the road to the Red Planet. Artemis II is our first step back into the deep. It is the end of our 50-year period of proximity. It is a reminder that while we may be small, our courage is as vast as the void itself. So, the next time you look up at the moon, remember the 4 people who are up there, listening to the silence.